Okay, so today's video is going to be a chaotic one. Essentially, what happened was this was filmed over the entire holidays, 5 or 6 days, yet it's only 8 hours of gameplay at late nights, so it's going to be an interesting one, not very consistent speech talking loudness, because I'm considerate of others. Anyways, enjoy the video. Alright. It is the 26th of December. I've kind of been doing redstone for the last week, but I haven't really gotten anything done, or not enough, for a full video. So instead, we're going to be building, because it's something I can do in one day. So consider this the first part of a longer series, where I'm just going to be taking you guys through the creative process of building, or at least how I go about it. Alright, so the idea: snowy area. There's gonna be a log cabin. There are gonna be 2 streams and a small, in quotations, or it rather in air quotes, waterfall. Alright, so let's use the best mod ever, Axiom. Okay, so this is just a generic super flat. I honestly have no idea how to start. This is gonna take a while of thinking. Alright, so I have started off by raising up a little hill type thing that is just going to be our working area. Now, I need to work on actually shaping the terrain, although in hindsight, I don't even like this. I think it should be no more than maybe 2 blocks tall, so if we go ahead and switch our raise tool, that's how much higher I want my little plot of land to be. But this will act as a nice opportunity to shape out the area, which I'm going to need to take time to do. Alright, like I said, a nice 2x2 area, or 2 tall area rather. I think this should be fine in terms of depth if I quickly go ahead and stack this on up so that you guys can get a proper view of how tall it actually is. Wait, here it is. I think that's a pretty good amount of distance. If we quickly think of just general depth, is going to be the background, it's going to be about here, the main structure is going to be about that, then maybe even a bit smaller. No, although all this can be foreground. Okay, now I just need to actually think about what it's going to look like. And like I said, I'm now just going to be working out rough shapes so that we have an idea of what we're going to be building. Alright, so now I've sort of made my grassy platform a bit more obvious by adding snow to everything around it, also kind of setting the scene. Now I just actually need to shape out the real build itself. Now using rock and smooth, rock tool and smooth tool, I'm sort of shaping out this little cliff that I was thinking about in the back, or hill, not really a cliff. And now, as you will often see in building processes, I have deleted everything because it didn't fit my image. While in and of itself, I don't think... Okay, Control Y isn't working. Okay, well that's weird, so I guess I can't show you guys, but never mind, I can. Okay. Anyways, while I do think this looks in and of itself okay, I don't think it fits my image. So I'm also going to be switching from andesite over to gray wool. Actually, no, I'm gonna use... No, actually gray wool is fine. I will be seeing you guys when I've built everything again. Now, as you will notice, I do quite often, I've chosen to instead go about it starting off with spheres, or in general, just rough shapes. I much prefer that to the approach of immediately trying to get a realistic shape. Alright, now I have ran into one of the biggest difficulties when it comes to building, which is scaling. This is supposed to be a log cabin, so it can't be too big, and I also want this to be the type of build which you can really walk up to it, right? Like all the way up to here and see it up close and it looks good. Having a log cabin with windows that are this large and a door that would have been this large, I don't know whether that's quite perfect. This is going to be probably the thing that's going to take me the longest out of everything. Okay, anyways. A rule of thumb with me is yellow wool on the ground means path. Light blue means water or streams or creeks or lakes or whatever. Brown probably means something wooden, in this case a bridge. And as you can see, it's kind of coming together, you know? Cliffs back over here with streams coming down into eventually a bigger river, stream, whatever you want to call it. And then some paths branching out and some forest and all around. All around, it's a good idea, I think. But I really need to think about the scaling of this house because it's quite important. So I'm going to spend a while on that. See you after I've decided how big it's going to be. You know, building is very much just staring at one point and trying to think. I don't know whether I like the cabin being this small. I think scale-wise, in terms of me easily being able to do windows, yeah, works great. I don't know whether it actually works great, though. Quite difficult choices to be made. I could have the roof peak like this. Ooh, okay. I don't know. Because, on one hand, I don't want humans to be a big influence on this area. I want it to seem very much like, you know, a lone farmer moved away from society. Or not farmer, but a lone person moved away from society to do really whatever. And I don't think you can capture that vibe if you build some big mansion, but I also just don't know whether I'll be able to work with this shape, you know? This is still going to end up getting turned into an episode, even if I fail in terms of this build, by the way. So don't assume that it's going to be good already. You can't know that. This is really just supposed to be a little bit of a build school type video, but, you know, I'm still learning how to build. You know, I'm nowhere near qualified to be teaching, so I'm just going to try my best. And of course, I could also end up making this look bad, but this is just supposed to be my, you know, thought process after all. I'll keep on thinking about it. Ooh boy, but a log cabin. Potentially one of the hardest Minecraft builds to do. You know, the closest thing I've seen to an actual log cabin in Minecraft was B-dubs. And I'm no B-dubs. So, I really am not sure that I'll be able to do this right. I guess we'll find out. Unfortunately, the house is the most important part. It sort of sets the scene for everything else. So I kind of need to focus it first. Or at least that's what well, it's not really true. I could do the terrain first, but I want to focus the house because it's definitely the hardest, so I'm going to focus the house first. I'm going to start out by just shaping it out using wool. So, once again, this is going to take a while. I will see you on the other side. Alright, so anyways, I did not immediately start shaping. Instead, I'm trying to figure out how I could do the log cabin thing. It's difficult. I think if it were a far larger scale, this would be quite easy, you know, just be able to do these. But not at the scale. I'm actually gonna do the shaping now. The small scale is really kicking my ass when it comes to shaping. I really should have practiced building at smaller scale more than I have at large scale, but I guess here we are, so I'm really struggling with this. I don't know how to turn this into an actually recognizable silhouette. I think the house shape is starting to gain some interest. Obviously, I'd have to do a whole bunch of detailing after I build it, but I think I'm starting to be happy with this shape. It'll need windows and details, but all of those can be added later. For now, the actual house shape is going pretty well as I've started trying to do the first pine tree. I'm doing this completely freehand. I don't have a second monitor right now, so I'm kind of just going about this feeling like a pine tree, so I'd argue it's going decently. I mean, we're not going to be seeing the branches really, it's all going to be covered in needles. So I think I want a change of pace though, and I'm going to start working on the river and the bridge. Well, I guess I'm going to do that. See you guys after, I guess, I've decided how I'm going to do the bridge. Rather, it's going to be a wooden bridge. Now I just need to decide, you know what? No, I'm actually just going to build it and then explain to you guys essentially what my thought process was. See you then. Alright, so I have been doing some building. Like I said, I did the bridge. So I went through a lot of more complicated designs until I ended up on something simple. So sometimes I think simplicity really beats this out, especially when you're going with a smaller scale. As for the house, as you can see, I've started actually building the house, and it's coming along quite well. Let's take a look at it, shall we? So, immediately you will notice there are a lot of signs, right? If we fly away, it becomes especially apparent. But I think they look good. I honestly, it's the closest thing. It looks like a wooden cabin, right? And I haven't really looked at any images of a real wooden cabin, so I'm honestly not even positive that this is what they look like. Instead, sort of, this is, I think, what they look like. You know, this is kind of the vibe that I get when I think wooden cabin, and so that's what I built. Is it perfect? No, definitely not. But, you know what? I think it turned out okay. The smoke, I just realized, should probably be quite a bit taller. If you see it from a distance, it seems kind of short. So I guess also a perfect opportunity to show you guys how I go about building smoke. And honestly, it kind of starts off with just doing a whole bunch of this. Roughly building it out in the direction which I feel like it would go. Right? And do that for a quite decent distance. Remember, by the way, smoke splits atop, so split it into a few smoke streams. And then I look down, and then I go to the ground, and if I'm happy with that shape, I go up and I just start punching holes in it. Because smoke is hardly ever that uniform, especially at its like ends. It's gonna start to really be extremely, what would it be called, airy, with a bunch of holes. So just kind of punch a bunch of holes into it until it feels good. And then as you do that, it will begin to look like smoke, or at least that's what happens in my experience. And then towards the end, also just add in some separate little smoke dots, particles, whatever you want to call them. I've noticed that's going to be done easiest with Axiom, just using a clone tool to go ahead and throw around a few dots of glass as such. Yeah, that's kind of how I go about building my smoke. I think it looks a good amount like smoke. I think it's a bit too concentrated in that area. Let's just punch some more holes into it. Yeah, now I just need to, you know, add in all the glass panes to make it look more cohesive. Even though I know I just said it shouldn't be cohesive, but you get the idea. I'm gonna do that, and you guys are gonna see the difference. Also, the sign idea. It's not something that I came up with originally. I'm pretty sure I saw it first done by B-Dubs, or at least that's where I saw it done first. B-Dubs' season 10 like cabin in the woods. I don't know what else to call it. Log cabin. I think it was also a log cabin. I don't remember 100%. But that's where I saw this technique, and so I'm kind of copying it. I guess link to his channel down below, because I like to, you know, give credit if I ever take someone else's idea after all. But I don't even know whether he's the original creator, so I'm just gonna hope and pray that he is. Anyways, I'm gonna add in all the glass. Alright, and as you can see, I have used the glass panes to shape it out a whole bunch. Of course, what? Oh, never mind. I had to punch a whole bunch more holes into it because glass panes make it look more dense. Even right there, I'm just going to punch a few holes through the smoke because it needs to look airy. This build is relatively realistic, so it needs to look relatively realistic. From this angle, it doesn't look as good, but from where the most common viewing angle is going to be, which is going to be down this path, I'd argue that looks like smoke. Or at least it's at least about as good as I am at smoke, so I'm sure there are people who are a lot better than me at making smoke. And I didn't really do anything else in that little cut, so I guess I will be seeing you guys again when I have done more and I can explain more. Alright, so I don't really remember what clip came before this. I instead am just going to state again, probably I think, I'm now going to do some more building, maybe do some terrain, even, or finish up this tree, and I will see you guys on the other side. Honestly, I forgot how difficult pine tree leaves were to do. The shaping of the tree in it of itself, not that bad. Doing the pine, of course, this is far from a good spruce tree, but it's good enough for me, for my standards. Usually I would, you know, shade the branches and stuff like that darker. That's kind of not possible since dark oak is the darkest wood. I suppose I could use deep slate. Yeah, wish me luck when it comes to shaping these. I know they're supposed to be like spiky-esque, you know, like needles, pine needles. But I don't know how to do those, so I'm probably gonna now spend, give or take, an hour. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna measure the time. Right now, it is 23:34 according to the extremely wrong clock ahead of me. Let's see. So, it's bad. Not the worst. Not the worst. Alright, here we are on a different testing super flat. This isn't actually a building world, but anyways, these did take a lot of time, of course, nowhere near as much as I've spent on the spruce tree right now. This was built, basically a rebuild of a real birch tree, and I'd argue it ended up quite good. Shout out to, hold on, at Evil Lupin for explaining how to build custom trees. While it's not a copy from him, so it's not necessarily necessary that I give credit, I think he deserves at least a shout out. I mean, the man taught me how to do these glass tricks and brushes. Anyways, I think this is a good custom tree. Anyways, you guys are about... No, actually, you're not going to get to see my hours. And I think this custom tree is nowhere near as good as those. Okay, I'm gonna spend a while thinking about how I can improve this too. Give me a second. Alright, so with the use of a bit of Axiom auto shading and quite a lot of manual touching up and manual adding of these are cracked. That explains why typeface didn't work. We have a slightly better tree. Now, it's not good. It's good enough for me to accept it. I'm going to tell you the truth. I am going to be making more trees as this video goes on. You're going to notice more and more trees being made in the background. I mean, I'm going to be explaining, really, when I do start doing them. But I think it's... Oh, no. I did not catch it. Yeah, this really sucks because now I need to clean up again. Okay, you know what? Let's just clean it up before it can get bad. Painter. See, not even that bad to clean up. The reason why I don't want snow yet is because it's kind of a pain to build around if you're ever going to use any Axiom tools, or if you've ever used any Axiom tools, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, this tree is going to be in parts of the forest. It's not going to be the only tree. Obviously, I'm going to do quite a few tree variants, hopefully around 5 maybe, give or take, because there's going to be a lot of forest, obviously. Like, all of this area is going to be sort of forested, just like this foreground, all this snow that you see around me. Yeah, it's all going to be covered in forest. I might eventually also do like a bigger mountainscape just up behind it, but that's for later. For now, I'm going to get back to doing trees and terrain. Or actually, I don't know what I'm going to do. Let's see. By the way, that, I don't know whether I explained it. It's a pipe that takes the water from the roof. Anyways, I'm gonna get back to building. Alright, it's the next day. We now need to do the most important part. Terrain and detailing. The tree has grown on me overnight. The house, yeah, not so much. I think it's about as good as I can make a log cabin, and I'm sure, you know, I'll make improvements to it while I build the terrain. But I honestly have no idea how to start with the terrain. I'd like to maybe do another tree. I'll really need to think about how I want to do this terrain. So let me get my thinking hat on, and I will catch you guys after the thinking has been thought. Alright, so something that I always like to keep in mind when building trees, which I've kind of failed on this one. I mean the lean, like they're supposed to all be going slightly down like that, but they're not. Anyways, the thing that I was going to talk about was trees are basically never-ending fractals. They have tons and tons of branches everywhere, so do keep those in mind while building your branches, and just fly back a bit, see whether you like that rough shape, and then just fly around in a circle around, and it needs to be roughly the same shape everywhere. Like from this angle it's a bit lopsided, so I'd probably cut that slab, and it looks better from the other angles as well. Now, as you guys can see, I've also built in that sort of lean for every branch. Alright, and now, once again, this is what it looks like unshaded. And this is what it looks like shaded. While it might not be a big difference from up close, if you fly away, you'll notice trees just become colors. Because leaves, you can't see the opaqueness of a leaf from far away. For example, from this point, you that's what they look like. They're just solid colors, as pretty much every block becomes from a certain distance. And so having just some variation in the leaves looks good both up close and from far away. While this isn't the best example of shading, it's a good enough one to where I'd be willing to leave it. And to explain why this one has azalea leaves and this one doesn't, well, this one's taller, it's going to be reaching higher up above the tree canopy, and it's going to be getting more light than this one, causing those to be slightly brighter than these ones. Alright, so I'm finally actually going to begin working on the real terrain part of it. So the first thing I've done is using freehand draw set to air to sort of carve out the river that is going to be going under our bridge and through our landscape, and is also going to be taking in the stream. Now that I have a hole, I just need to, add water, or we're going to be making a glass river because I think it looks cool. It's going to be, or at least it's supposed to be, a relatively fast stream, which means it's going to have a rather rocky coast. This isn't really realistic for a fast stream, for it to take this sharp turn. So I'm probably gonna have to smoothen this out just a little bit to where it's maybe like such. Cutting that part out. But then it's just gonna be your typical rocky quick stream. Alright, I'm going to do that. See you after. Alright, so I've done that. The difference is minute, but I think you can still slightly see it. I could put in some rocks to explain it slowing down beyond this point. Before continuing on, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to do that. This is gonna be interesting because this is not realistic terrain, obviously. So doing this entire part is gonna be a challenge, right? Like, rocks aren't perfectly spherical in real life, so I still need to fix that. Alright, I'm really gonna need to think about this, and I might not even immediately do it, so I will be seeing you guys after I've had a long enough thought to decide, because this could take me a good few hours, and I'd rather not waste that much time. Alright, so, like I believe to have said before the cut, we are still going to be doing terrain. I've been struggling to decide how to do it. It's not really something that you make, Alright, so I have made another custom tree. Just small one this time. Alright, so I have done a bit more for the river, but I'm struggling with this. This is taking really long. I'm now gonna start trying to work on the rocks and cliffs. I don't know whether I'll be able to finish this within the next 2 days. Right, so first of all, I have used the distort tool to, not distort, painter to just paint all the dark or normal gray wool into regular andesite. And I think I'm happy with this rock color. This has sort of been the angle which I've always just gone back to. Now I need to, shape. I was about to mess this like hillside up with roughen and then smooth it, which would make it look like such, which minor difference, yes, but I actually think I like this perfectly smooth spherical look a bit better. I think it fits more so to the style of kind of to the image that I have in my head. I don't think we're going to be changing that much about that background. I've never struggled this bad when it comes to making terrain. I genuinely have no idea what to do with these hills, because on one hand, I want to keep this almost cartoonish, spherical type shapes, but at the same time, I want to add in texture and details, and usually how I would go about this is add gradients, but I'm really struggling with this. I don't know how to gradient it so that it looks both realistic yet not over detailed. I might actually have to spend several hours on this. Alright, so I have started doing the glass water. This is my first time ever doing it, and I think it looks good. It's not perfect, but I think it's a fine first attempt at it. Obviously, we're going to be doing this probably dozens of times, because I really do think it looks good, and I've seen it done really good in, for example, B-Dubs. His videos. He did an amazing job at doing glass waterfalls, and this might even be partially inspired, not even partially, this is probably inspired by his season 10 base with the log cabin and the glass waterfalls and all, and I think they look great. This, I don't know how I feel about that very clear blue tone. It's still in the works, but I think all in all, it looks pretty okay, I still am probably gonna, spend the entire night thinking about how to do these cliffs. But I think the build is coming along. Unfortunately, this video will be like a day or two late, but I'm sure you guys can take that. Anyways, I will be seeing you after the next cut. Alright, so I have done quite a bit for the cliffs. And I'm not proud of it because they're slightly rushed, which you will be able to see in just a second. And what do I mean by that? Well, usually, when doing my terrain, I want everything to have reason and meaning. I'm not the biggest fan of just noise going around. And I've only been able to do just a simple gradient going from tough to stone andesite cobble, which not the greatest, I gotta admit, but we don't have that much time. So this is sort of a speed build from here. It's probably not going to become what I wanted it to become, but you know, you don't always have a choice. I'll try to get it as good as I can in as little time as I have, but I can't promise anything. I've also added in these little rocks to add some interest to the waterfalls, waterfalls. And I still need to add some rocks everywhere, but I think it's time for the final stage, which I will see you guys after it is complete. Alright, so, I was kind of talking during this entire segment that you are watching right now, but SteelSeries Sonar kind of screwed me by letting my music come through, making this entire segment unusable due to copyright. So instead, enjoy Minecraft music over a time-lapse of it. Alright, and now I think a cinematic tour is in order. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed making it. I think it could have turned out better, for sure. Even now I have a lot of improvements I could have made, but you guys want your weekly video, so that's what you're gonna get. Honestly, if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe. I'm not gonna complain about how it went. It was unorganized. A lot of these segments were filmed at 2 to 3 a.m. I promise the next part of the series will be better. So I guess cue the outro, since if you did enjoy, subscribe and like. See ya.